Well, okay, well, let me just preface that monetizing this kind of content is always like very iffy. It's very iffy. It's very iffy. And I don't even know where to begin. I don't even know where to begin. Okay, so has Nora, I think, shown she was being physically brutalized while in Scientology? I think there's enough evidence to show she was. And can it be said that sometimes in Scientology, Hubbard constructed the equivalent of concentration camps? I think so, but we have to be very careful with the wording. And I don't know if Nora really fits that label. I really don't. And excuse some of the audio dilemmas here. And by the way, guys, I'm very sensitive that the audio be good. You can hear clearly, all that, but technology is the way technology is. I mean, I can only say, please become a channel member. I mean, I'm just being serious. Like, I only make so much per the channel. The more money you make, the more you can reinvest in the channel. It just is the way it is. It is what it is. But enough dawdling. Did she actually do it? Oh, yeah. Yes. And I'm only paraphrasing. So I'll be totally honest. If I tried to directly quote her, she sounds even more dumb than usual. But basically, Nora put up a short video detailing how systemically, again, I don't disagree with this, the main core of the message was fine, although she's trying to paint herself as this big victim, which I'm like, I don't know if that part's true, but basically that systemically, Scientology steals from its members, right? Basically free wages through slave labor, basically, and underpays people horrifically. And even while in this kind of, what do you want to call it, administrative prison, I think that's probably the nicest way to put it. In this administrative prison, Nora was, quote, earning money, but it was very little money. So basically, Scientology is paying itself for the slave labor it imprisons, which is ghastly, but does seem to be true. But this is stuff I really don't like about Nora, why she really makes me and a lot of people angry. And again, I am fairly on the left, but I'm not like super hardcore radical left. Apparently nobody's telling her, Nora, that's true all the time, right? Even in normal jobs. Like if you're being paid whatever, say, whatever it is, even the bare minimum, right? Depending what where you are, the bare minimum wage would be $14, $15. You're being exploited. Clearly you could be earning way more money. So if you're making whatever, $14 an hour, if you're not really being paid $20 an hour for your labor, then from a certain point of view, oh, you've been exploited from $6 of your wage. That's pretty hardcore exploitation. Does that mean the person's a victim of a Holocaust concentration camp? I think we want to be cautious there. So you're a victim and you're definitely being exploited, but are you being exploited at the level of that you're being treated like a slave? I don't know. It's a difficult question. It's a difficult question. In economics, Marxian ideology, you go through the list. Feminism, a lot of people would argue, no, you are. You aren't, unless you're being paid fully and fairly for your wage. You are being exploited like a slave. I think we want to be cautious with that kind of language, but you could have those discussions. So if Nora's going to invoke this kind of language, well, that's true of everywhere, Nora. That's true of people just being employed by corporations or businesses or governments. Like, are they ever being fully paid what they deserve or being given the correct benefits? Probably no. Does that mean they're in concentration camps? I think we want to be careful with that kind of language. Nora, God bless her, is not. So she full on compared herself. Now, granted, she's responding to a comment saying, yeah, you calling yourself a victim of concentration camps. I get your point here, but no, I don't think that's true. And Nora responded, oh, I'll have you know, I have spoken to survivors of the concentration camps in Europa, and they agree with me that I too am like them. I too survived Auschwitz. And yes, she full on made a comparison that, like Auschwitz, I was on Schindler's List. But sadly, I was not on Schindler's List. Well, the whole goal of this channel is to be critical of all sides. Were many people, to put it mildly, going through horrific experiences in those camps? Yes. There's also a lot of made-up stories, too. Like, there are now entire literatures of people who made it up. I'm not joking with you guys. There's a whole publishing industry of people who pretend to be Jewish and pretend to be in the camps. And those people who pretended to be in the camps made up all these horror stories, which never happened. And meanwhile, the people who actually did go to the camps did suffer a lot. And some of them, again, it's YouTube, I can't even say. I don't even like using that stupid, really? Unaloof. They took their own life. Because it was just so traumatic for them. I read one of their books, Primo Levi, who's really devastating. Really devastating. So stating the obvious, read Primo Levi, ignore Nora and her tantrums. Okay, but she's made the comparison that she is a Holocaust concentration camp victim. Well, Nora doesn't even understand. That begs the question. What kind of victim? Did you deserve to be victimized? There are still more questions to be asked. Most victims of the Nazis were pure innocent. However, some victims were not purely innocent. Right? They weren't. They were complicit. They were helping. Right? Some of the victims of the Nazis were themselves Nazis. Right? Look up the Night of the Long Knives. Right? Nacht des langen Messers. This is a real thing. Hitler purged the party of his own loyalists and executed them. So it's just Nora being stupid. Just Nora being stupid. But she went the whole hog, saying, kindly, you don't know what you're talking about. You are ignorant. You should shut up. I'm a survivor. I will speak. And then they chimed back, I don't need to talk to the survivors. Apparently, this person's either the daughter or the son of victims of the concentration camps. Well, again, we're going in a circle. How do I know this is true? Is this true? Were your parents really in the camps? Which camps? People have this weird demonic image that, like, Hitler had all these people in his weird dark dungeon in a big castle. No, these camps were all over the place. Different kind of camps, different systems, run by different people. The experiences do align that they were, for the most part, pretty horrifying, no doubt about that. But we still should ask questions like, okay, how did you get into the camp? Were you really a victim? What happened? How long? What were the circumstances? Just ask critical questions. And then Nora goes further, saying she's confirmed in her biases because she's spoken to the victims too. Namely, that she's spoken to the victims of the concentration camps. How does she know these people were really victims? I don't know. Okay, but let's say they really were in the camps. And they're saying, yes, your experiences and my experiences, they're very similar. Okay. Therefore, Nora thinks she's empowered to say, I too am the victim of Auschwitz. Well, no. I mean, listen, let me be very clear. Scientology slave labor is real. It's a real thing. However, is it akin to the Nazi variety? As an actual expert on Nazism, I'm forced to say, no, that would not be true. That is not correct. And Nora points out, and I'm sure I do believe her, that people did die in those camps that she was in. So it's like, well, who the hell cares? Semantics, right? No, there is a difference between, take 100 victims, 1 to 2 people die, legitimately die because they're not being fed well enough. That's terrible. That should not be tolerated. 1 victim is too many. Versus, say, 100 people in a real hardcore Nazi death camp, and the morbidity or the death rate is like, nice being ballpark. Oh, I don't know, 2/3. There's a difference between 66 victims out of 100 on average versus 2 victims out of 100 in another case. And we know why. Because they're not the same. Does Scientology, or did it have the equivalent of concentration camps? In a few cases, yes. In every case, no. In fact, she herself points out, oh, where were you held? Oh, the Big Blue building. Now, I'm sure there are a lot of horror stories about Big Blue, no doubt about that, but you're, good or bad, still operating within the modern democratic state. And if you listen to Nora's confessions long enough, she will point this out, saying she made a dumb choice. If she had just run down the street, just keep running down the street, she would have been safe. But nope. Being Nora, she made some really bad, stupid choices. Right? And you guys have seen Big Blue for yourself. It's interconnected with a lot of other streets. It's not an isolated, small, little, gated community. So you're like, wait a minute. If you're being held in a concentration camp, that's the Big Blue. Well, there are buses. There are people around. Why don't you just go get help? It doesn't make any sense. That's just not the environment of some of the victims of Hitler. They weren't near shopping malls. You're just being stupid. But even further, okay, but in the case of the Golden Base, that is a strange, weird, isolated place, right? It is literally a massive Scientology compound. So if miracle you make it out of the trailers, which are concentration camps, yeah, you still got miles of Scientology before you. So you're trapped. It's really hard to get out of that place. It really is. It really is. That's a compound in a very dry, arid desert environment. That's not the Big Blue. Those are radically different environments. So they're saying, oh, I was a victim of the camps. Oh, really? Where were you held? Oh, at the Big Blue. Really? The Big Blue? Where you can hail a cab? Like, what? What are you talking about? It's like you say, well, what's your camp? Oh, it's the Big Blue. You can call Big Blue many things, and I'm sure there are. Like it's a massive building. I'm sure there are sections of it walled off for, special purposes to do those things. Right? So I can imagine they do have like entire rooms dedicated just locking people in. I'm sure that's horrifying. It does not make it a concentration camp. Right? We have to be careful with our language, but it's like, no, I too am a black Jewish woman. I've suffered so much with the patriarchies. It's like, I'm sure you did suffer. I would say it's administrative prison. I think that's the correct terminology. But really, saying you were in a death camp, really? Really? And there you go. On the record, Nora's like, I too, ich bin Hitler victim. No, Nora, you're not. Oh, by the way, the Jewish thing, yeah, apparently her wife is Jewish. Nora's wife is Jewish, so now she's Jewish by proximity. Right, because I guess if I marry a smoking hot Vietnamese Buddhist woman, I become a Buddhist too. I'm having sex with a Buddhist. I become Buddhist too now. So what if I have sex with a Jewish atheist woman? I become Jewish atheist? Like, what are you talking about? Oh, just stupid. This is just stupid. Just stupid. So, true crime of Scientology. Different label. Same stupidity.